I'm Lazy B, justice seeker, story keeper, and we're still watching, waiting for justice.
Hello. I don't know why I'm round and the box is rectangle. Hello. It's Monday, and I thought it was a really crappy day in court here. I listened to as much as I could while at work. I'm very concerned. Curious how y'all are feeling. This judge is like a loose freaking cannon. And I'm sorry it's late, but I didn't even get home from work till like 7:45. Melissa, yeah, I debated it, but then when the state rested, and I felt like the defense, I mean, he's paying big people, and the expert, I think I heard some things and it looked, I don't know. I didn't hear the whole thing, but I was like, oh, that didn't sound good. Um, True Crime Wife, you think Pino is cooked? I mean, I'm worried that the judge is going to dismiss this tomorrow. I don't know. Like just listening to the argument, and she's just like arguing back and forth with Laura Adams. Um, I'm concerned. Yeah, Melissa says, hopefully the judge won't give a directed verdict tomorrow. I want the jury to decide this case. And I agree. I think our Constitution gives us that right. Like, how often has there been a directed verdict? Didn't watch much today, but saw the end where they were trying to sway the judge. Yeah, I've never seen that much arguments going back and forth. I'm telling y'all, this judge, I got a bad. It's basically Tater. What's a directed verdict? It's like, the state rests, and then before the defense goes, they say, hey, they haven't proven their case. We're asking for an acquittal. And that would be like the judge just giving a verdict right then and just says, there's not enough evidence. Yeah, the jury doesn't get it. And then he would walk. Yep, Daniel says, I'm worried about the motion for acquittal. I like the case, but the judge seems like a real softie. I think the prosecutor has done fine. I agree. This judge, she draws me nuts. You can hardly hear her, and she's just like this. I mean, I picture her right now in Miami in a big muumuu, sitting on her back patio in the breeze. She kind of reminds me of the old lady. What was it, Marge or Madge? And There's Something About Mary. Maybe smoking a cigarette, drinking a scotch. That's what I'm picturing right now. Yes, she reminds me of Cannoni. Brush with life. Sorry to say this, between Judge Cannoni and the Karen Reed case and this judge, I prefer male judges. I would agree, except you know who's a badass judge is the lady, and I know her name. I'm drawing a blank. She did the Daryl Brooks case, and she did the eye drop killer case. She is awesome. She's really good. Yeah, he does have like a dozen people. Yeah, money maybe can't buy you class, but it can buy you a legal team. So this directed verdict, this is exactly what we hear the state's attorney's office is worried about with Wendy. So with that, we're just gonna jump around and just see where we can go with this. All right. But good to see all of y'all. I want to show y'all though, the defense attorney, the little short guy. What does he have on today? The olive suit. Never have I seen a man in so many olive green suits in the year 2026. I mean, that was a thing in the 90s. I agree. Melissa says Lucy's parents looked worried too, I thought. Yeah, the prosecutor was over there talking to them. I mean, I can't recall the last time I've seen that. And remember, Lucy's dad, so both her parents are attorneys. Lucy's dad was a public defender the first 3 years of his legal career. mean, jurors were delayed. Yeah, look at him. Olive suit. I mean, I saw that today and I thought, oh, we're showing that tonight. Is that not olive green? Is it double breasted? Are those in? I don't know that those are in. I know there's bigger things. I'm pissed about this whole thing. Hey, Shy Gal, good to see you. Daniel, with 2020 hindsight, maybe prosecutors should have charged with boating while intoxicated. I don't think there was evidence of that, though. I mean, it was all assumptions. I do think he might be overcharged, though. Hey, Shy Gal. Yeah, I'm very concerned about this. And the fact that the Adelsons are from Miami, I already hated it, but now I really hate it. Okay, what did I say? I called it this expert guy, but like this seems like a conflict. This guy's an expert, but then he also works for West Palm Beach.
It makes it more
Excuse me. Construction course. It's project based. So the students come in construction course. It's project based. So the students.
So this is the expert guy that we talked about last night. Expert, like boater, blah blah.
Students come in and they get several days of training.
Yeah, flea market courtroom.
The students are teamed up in groups and they're assigned 2 boats, and so that the students go out and they inspect the boats and they inspect the dam.
Her mother is absolutely beautiful.
And they're given the GPS data that was recovered from the boats, and then they do their own independent analysis, and they're required to do
Before anyone says I can't do closed captioning, it's not loaded yet. Like YouTube's got to process the video, and since court really just ended, I don't know. I hope we can hear it.
A PowerPoint presentation in front of the class is kind of their final project to finish the class.
You mentioned something about the National Association of State Boating Law Administrators.
Yes.
NASBLA.
NASBLA.
That's a mouthful, right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about?
I agree. Daniel says a boat full of booze and Pinot driving directly into piling in broad daylight in perfect weather is evidence of boating while intoxicated. And how many times has he driven that, right? I'm sure as a boater down in Miami, I mean, that's probably like the main street all of us drive every day where we live. I mean, do you not know? It's kind of like, when you were driving to college or whatever, like, your exits. Like I always knew what exit I could go stop to where I would feel comfortable getting gas or going to the bathroom or whatever.
About your work with that agency in terms of forensic GPS analysis.
Yes. So, excuse me. So NASBLA is.
And this judge, and I'm not even one that gets all worked up, but she has freaking styrofoam cups in that old picture.
An organization comprised of representatives from all 50 states and every U.S. territory, and they work specifically on boating safety initiatives all around the country. They have a program, the BOAT program, that teaches. They have a menu of courses that they deliver to local, state, and federal law enforcement. And so a couple of years after I left FWC, NASBLA came to me and asked if I could produce a GPS forensics course for their organization, which I did.
So this is really him establishing his credibility and going through his reasoning. Do y'all want me just to go ahead and jump to the defense? I mean, we can't watch this whole thing. I think, yes, the Florida Wildlife Commission screwed a lot up.
X number of people and some particular amount of weight. The Marine Manufacturers Association, I think, as a standard, bumps that up to 26 feet. And so you'll see larger boats with capacity. One in particular.
Now, when we look at these post-impact track marks where the engine is still running, are you familiar with an item called a kill switch?
Engine power switch?
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes referred to as a kill switch. Yes. Can you explain to the jurors what that is?
Objection relevance.
I'm just,
It's typically a lanyard that an operator would connect to, a belt loop or something on their bike, and it is connected to a switch on a console. So if the
this is the worst damn courtroom.
leave or be affected or
This is like in school when you had a class that was like almost in the storage closet. Okay. It's like the worst classroom. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the defense because I think that's what we need to watch. And what is this sign that they've got up in this courtroom? Hung on nails. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And so at that time of day, as the Robalo is heading down Cutter Bank Hills.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to now proceed defense cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge, and good afternoon, Mr. Albert.
Good afternoon.
You and I are meeting today for the first time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And wanted to just establish a few basic points when we begin. You were not an eyewitness to the event of September 4, 2022, correct?
Correct.
And you were retained by the state to do the analysis that you've performed today for the jury.
Yes.
And part of the role that you played was try to sort of recreate what might have happened on September 4, 2022, using the data you were able to retrieve from the GPS device on the Robalo.
Yes.
And so I just want to ask you a few preliminary questions. We got to see Lieutenant Thompson operating his motor vessel sometime much later than September 4, 2022. I think he did it a couple years later.
Yes.
Okay. And in doing that exercise, it would have been relevant and perhaps important to try to replicate the conditions that existed back in September of 2022 so that the visual we see looks as much as possible like the conditions that existed on the day that Thompson did it, the same day of the Robalo incident, right?
Sure.
Okay. And in coming to that effort to try to replicate the conditions, you knew certain details about the September 2022 incident. I'll call it the Robalo incident so that we know what I'm talking about. The Robalo incident occurred at approximately 6:37 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And it was September.
Yes.
September 4, 2022 at approximately 6:37 p.m.
Yes.
So that's in the evening.
Yes.
It was actually still light out.
Yes.
There was actually at least another hour's worth of sunlight.
I believe so. Yes.
And the sun sets in the west or southwest at that time of year.
Yes.
Okay. And so at that time of day, as the Robalo is heading down Cutter Bank Channel, the sun would be off to the Robalo's start.
Yes, I just wanted to get straight to the defense because he's going to go basically and pick apart like what the prosecutor has done. So I just thought this is easier because we don't have all night. Hey, Esther, everybody, Truth Seeker, Marianne, everyone.
Starboard right side, correct?
Yes.
It wouldn't be exactly 90 degrees to the right, more like 60 some odd degrees, right?
I'd have to calculate it. I'll take your word for it.
Okay. Did you do that calculation?
No.
Okay. And so when Lieutenant Thompson did his exercise, he did it in the morning.
Just a little spoiler alert. He basically like finds an error in his data that he had or he had documented the tide wrong. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So in the morning, the sun would be off to the port side of Thompson's vessel.
Is that
Oh,
right?
wow,
Yes.
Daniel.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you can assume there's a question mark at the end of every
Will
one of
do.
my statements,
Yes,
but if
sir.
not, I'll clarify. Okay. And at 6:37 in the evening on September 2022, that sun would be about an hour's from the horizon.
Yes.
Now, did you do any analysis of how the sun would reflect off of any of these markers in doing your
Hey, Wild Wild West, you changed your screen name. You used to be something else, didn't you? I'm like 99% sure. Hey, Audrey. Hey, everybody.
analysis?
No.
Okay. Or how the sun would reflect off the water surface itself?
No.
Okay. Now, in terms of the visibility of the Robalo, where the operator is standing at the helm, would you agree that height matters?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're under oath. Tell us how tall you are.
I'm 6'8".
6 feet, 8 inches tall.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so at 6 feet, 8 inches tall, you'd be a foot taller than a man who's about 5 footing. Fair statement?
Yes, sir.
That math we can do without a calculator. And so your line of sight at 6 feet, 8 inches tall is going to be better, would you say, than someone who's 5 feet 8 inches tall
In his boat,
in the Robalo?
it's going to be worse.
Yours is worse?
Yes,
Because?
because I'm looking right into the electronics box.
So you're almost too tall for that boat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But if your eyesight is below the electronics, that's a better line of sight than someone who's shorter, right?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. Let me see if I have.
I want to say I'm going to give props to this defense attorney. Okay. I know they're not our favorite people, but sometimes you might need one. Hey, True Crime Wifey, good to see you. I think he's done a really good job so far in this trial. We haven't even seen his closing and all that, but he is not like overly objected. You know how sometimes they just keep on, and I think it makes it sketchy to the jury because it's like, well, what are they trying to hide? And I think he's done a really good job. So that's probably why he's worth $5 million, or that's what it cost.
Have the image I wanted.
Hey, here for today.
Put aside, right? No? Hold on one second. Did someone put it back? Here they are. Thank you.
Hey, tennis.
And so let me show you what's already in evidence as
Yeah.
State's Exhibit 104. You recognize that as would that be called the helm or the console?
This is the center console.
Center console.
Looking at the front of the center console, yes.
Okay, so if someone was at the bow, the front of the boat, this would be a photograph looking back to the stern, the rear of the boat.
Yes.
Okay. And the operator would be on what would be the starboard side of the center console.
On that boat, yes.
Right. And I think you told us it was the starboard side that took the hardest hit here and would likely cause the
Does anyone know if Court TV has the closed captions up yet? Because I might switch.
greatest injuries to people on that boat.
Yes.
And that's where the operator of the boat would have been, on the starboard side.
Mhm.
He's closer to the center line, but yes, he's on the starboard side.
Now, this boat the Robalo has a windshield.
Yes.
And I'd like to show you what's in State's Exhibit.
I mean, he has a whole slew of defense attorneys at that table. No telling who else is even working behind the scenes.
105. Is that a photograph of the windshield?
Yes.
And do you know if the condition of that windshield as it was photographed and introduced by the state is the same condition it was on the day of the incident?
No.
State's Exhibit 105. Now, when Lieutenant Thompson was operating his vessel, he mounted the GoPro or the camera device in front of the windshield. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the GoPro was not obscured at all by the windshield.
Correct.
The operator, Thompson himself, would have been several feet back, holding the steering wheel.
I don't know if I quantified it several, a couple, 3 feet. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And so let me show you.
I mean, y'all, Wendy could hire this guy.
State's Exhibit 3.
Yes.
You recognize the Robalo?
Yes.
And you see that George Pino is in this photograph? Or there's an operator there, you may not know it's George Pino,
I didn't notice.
but I'll have to double check. That there's a man standing at the steering wheel position.
Yes.
And someone can operate this motor vessel either standing or seated.
Yes.
Do you know whether standing versus seated would affect the line of sight of the operator?
It would, obviously, if you're seated, you're a little bit lower and you're a little closer to the top level of the console, so it would affect it, yes.
Okay. Now, in this photograph, there are some of the passengers are standing in the bow area, correct?
Yes.
And the bow area is the front of the boat.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you another photograph, State's Exhibit 69. You see it?
Yes, sir.
That's the Robalo after the accident.
Yes.
And I'm using this because I'd like you to explain to the jury, and you're welcome to stand or sit, whatever's more comfortable for you. Okay. Tell the jury, what is the freeboard of a boat?
The freeboard of the boat is the distance from the water line here, the boat's floating, resting in the water, to the top of this called gun rail. That's the freeboard.
Okay. And so it would show on this as well. You can see that there.
So the resting water line would be a little below the teal green there.
And when the boat is on plane,
Yes.
is the bow a little bit up?
Above
Above the water?
The whole boat. Like,
You tell us.
The whole boat will rise up, so it'll give you, depending on the boat, anywhere from a few inches to maybe a foot, it'll rise up higher. And then depending on how you control or manipulate the tilt on the engines and the trim tabs that control the pitch of the boat side to side, and then you push that down, and the load on the boat, the amount of weight on the boat, determine how the bow rises.
To achieve a faster speed, does that typically suggest that the trim is so that the bow lifts just a little bit?
Yes, there's kind of a sweet spot when you tilt the motors up. When they're all the way down, push against the back of the boat, the transfer of the boat, tends to push the front of the boat downwards. If you trim it up, the bow will start to rise up a little bit, and there's a certain spot where it gets the most efficiency, and you'll feel the boat accelerate a little bit, and then if you continue to tilt it up, then the top will start to slip, and it will lose some speed and potentially cause the boat to start focusing where the bow down.
And so a boat can gain speed simply by tilting the engines without accelerating or giving it more gas, correct?
Within limits, yes.
It's not gonna go from 0 to 60.
You know what else this defense attorney does really well? He's not all like, he's like, I mean, if you're just watching this by mannerisms, he's like, right, yes, yes. And so if you're on the jury, you're like, oh, okay, he's good. I mean, he's good.
No, you're going to depend, again, depending on the whole style of the boat, you might gain a couple miles an hour.
Fair enough. Now, and forgive me, Judge, you may not be able to see it, but I'll publish in a moment. Here, you see some of the passengers are seated on what you described as the gunwale or the gunnel of the bow of the boat. Is that what that's called?
So I would categorize that as the bow on top of the anchor lock.
So on the anchor lock.
Yep.
Okay. And is the gunnel what I'm pointing to here, this sort of white
Yes.
surface here, like
Yes.
a rail, not a rail,
It's really the top of the black part.
and when someone
I know I can't understand really. I mean, because they're not on the mics right now because they have to stand up because, we're in the Lion King set
wants
here.
to board the boat, someone can typically step on the gunnel and then step down into the boat.
Yes.
That's right, Tater.
Now, this boat, Ravallo designed it so that there would be seating in the bow area, correct?
There's
Mhm.
Let me grab another exhibit and you can give me just 1 second. Take a look, if you would, at never been introduced. I'll mark it then. Is it marked as a state? Forgive me, Judge. Marked as a state exhibit. Okay. Let me show you what's been marked as, I think it's States Exhibit 5L, and see if you recognize it.
I mean, it looks like the front part of the revolver
Mhm.
bow.
We would offer it at this time.
No objection, no objection.
Yes, there's going to be a gotcha moment because while the state did all their little research and reenactments, Lord knows what these defense have done with their unlimited budget, like no budget. Pino been penning checks.
5L, March ID, Defense Exhibit C.
And so, Mr. O'Hare, this is what I'll call the forward seating area. Is that a fair statement, or is that the bow seating? What would you like to call it?
Either one's fine.
Okay. And this is where, according to your review of the file, there were passengers seated in this bow area, correct?
Yes.
There are cushions that go on top of this fiberglass surface, so the person's, forgive my word, butt can be more comfortable than sitting on fiberglass, right?
Yes.
And you recall that when someone is seated in that bow area, there's about 12 inches between the top of the cushion and the gunnel.
Yes.
So now, you stay with me just.
So Tater says Florida gets the award for the craziest cases. The reason is because that's what we see the most of, because they have such great sunshine laws and FOIA law, whatever, for all of us. So people like to cover these
1
cases.
second.
Yeah.
In Exhibit 3, the passengers are actually.
It's true. There are all kinds of defense attorneys, and I won't keep pausing. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, they're defending our rights. That's right, because somebody could bring I don't know, false accusation against you, and you might need a defense attorney.
Sitting on the gunnel, right? if that same passenger that I'm pointing to were seated on the cushion, you'd expect her torso and her body to drop about 12 inches.
He has a point.
And so that when seated while the vessel is operating, that passenger's torso and head would protrude above the bow, anchor, gunnel, whatever it's called. Yes. Okay. And the pilot looking over the bow might have his or her visibility obscured by the passengers seated in the front of that boat. Yes. Okay. And if the passengers are, for example, seated, listening to music, waving their arms and dancing in their seat, that could obscure the pilot's view or the operator's view. Both obscurity and distract. Yes. Okay. Thank you. And in this case, you know that there were 7 passengers seated in that bow area while the vessel was underway going through Cutter Bank Channel. Yes. Now, we know that the Robalo alighted with marker 15. Yes. And you testified that you could see from the transfer marks on the edge of the Robalo, there was some green color there. Yes. And you've explained to the jury that that green color would have come from the day marker itself, that green marker, right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So he's what his point is going to be from the green marker that we've seen. Was it 15? That where it transfers on the boat, the tide was different than what this expert stated. You can tell this guy's getting nervous. I would be too.
Let's take a look at 22. That's the green marker. Yes. So the green marker itself is 3 feet by 3 feet, isn't it? The day marker.
This attorney, though, he's got a tremor and he needs to see a neurologist.
I think that's standard, yes.
Okay. And so if I could, can we publish this one on the big screen so that the jury can see it better? I think so. Which one is it? This would be State's Exhibit 20.
Tennis girl, is JD Lawyer the man from Missouri, the retired appellate attorney? Adore him, adore him.
Now, it's not on that page. It's not on it? Okay, so we'll do it this way. Now, let's take a few steps here. If the marker is,
Forensic.
I'm going to use this as south, but I keep changing north and south, so apologize. This marker 15 down south has the marker protruding above the water line, right?
Yes.
And depending on how high the tide is, that marker to the eye will appear closer to the water line at high tide.
Marginally.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe slightly.
A few feet, actually, right? The tide could drop from high tide to low tide. Could be a several feet difference, right?
Not in this area.
What's the difference?
I think the tide on that given day was 1.75 feet that it rose, so a little shy of 2 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
The marker is 3 feet.
Mhm.
When I say the marker, let me be clear. The day board, the green board is
I
3
understand what you
feet.
mean, yes, sir.
So roughly half or more than half the size of the day board is the difference between it being at high tide versus not being at high tide.
The water level on the marker is a foot higher or lower. The marker itself never moves.
Of course, but
Yeah.
the boat is going to be higher in the water at high tide than at low tide.
Yes,
So that marker to the operator's view is going to look lower when it's high tide.
a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, on September 4, 2022 at 6:37 p.m., it was high tide, wasn't it?
It was close to high tide, I believe, yes.
Now, when you first did your analysis in this case,
Yeah.
you had reported that high tide was at 10:29 p.m., correct?
Yep, I just reviewed that, and that was low tide.
And you reviewed that because today I brought that to your attention.
You did, yes.
Okay. So you were operating under the assumption that this entire event, until today, until we're here in this courtroom today, you assumed that the accident happened at low tide. I'm sorry, you assumed that low tide was, well, tell us, what did you assume?
I didn't make any assumptions because I didn't consider the minor difference in a foot or two of water level to play a factor in collision. However, we have a 6-hour tide cycle here in South Florida. And so if the accident happened at 6:30 and high tide was at 10:30, we were
I agree, Melissa. I totally agree with what you're saying. Tide is kind of a big deal, and that he or no one, including prosecution, didn't catch it is bothersome. And I'm not equating this guy to this, but it was almost that moment when Man Shannon was in the Karen Reed trial. It was just a little uncomfortable.
Midway through the tide, and that would have meant that it was about a foot different.
Actually, a third of the way, right? Low tide would have been about 4:30 that day,
Where should I go?
4:30, 10:30.
under your math, 6 hour difference.
Okay, sure.
Yesterday, Lieutenant Thompson said high tide was at 4:48 PM. Do you know where he got that number from?
I don't.
But as of today, we now know for certain from your own investigation 15 minutes ago when I asked you to check, high tide was right about when this elision occurred.
No, it was not. It was 4:30. It was 2 hours potentially before the collision occurred.
Hey, everybody. We've had more people join. So I'm Leslie B. Welcome. Love it. If you would like, subscribe. Means a lot. We are just watching the defense from today, but basically, he didn't do this witness any favors for the state. Their last big witness showed he had some things wrong about the tide, which he's like, I didn't think it was a big deal. Well, I think it's a big deal, right? Because that's where he could have seen or not seen the piling.
We'll check. What time was high tide?
Right.
We're talking now about high tide at the Totten Key Station.
And Tance did the math for us. Thank you. He didn't take a 2-foot change in tide into account. The top of the marker is only 9 feet. That's 20%.
In Biscayne Bay, right?
I don't.
I agree.
I don't have the. So I don't know where the Totten Key Station is located. I did a quick review because you asked me to. So there's fluctuations in the tide in Biscayne Bay so large that high tide at one area might be an hour different from high tide. I'm not speculating on the tide difference. So generally speaking,
Thanks, Shago.
it looks like the high tide, based on what I looked for, high tide was at 4:44 p.m.
On which day?
September 4th.
At which location?
I don't know.
Okay, well, can you check Totten Key, which is what
I can't do it while I'm
Y'all
sitting.
see him shaking his head? The judge should call that out, I think. And he is sitting probably 3 feet from the jury.
Up here.
Okay.
It would take you some time to find that because it's not something I can just.
Okay. Your report said it was at 10:29 PM, correct? Page 6 of your report?
Yes.
Is there a way that you can, if not at this moment, but later today, do the research and tell us what,
I'm going to tell you what this guy was doing. He was driving his boat and a bunch of 17-year-old girls with the tight little bodies. And as one of my good friends, Matt, used to say, just wait until they hit their ice cream years. They were all dancing, drinking, having fun. You know, what they say is, what is it? Skinny is wasted on youth. I don't know. I can't remember the saying. And he was watching those little bikini bottoms. That's what I think.
your final answer is on when was high tide on that day?
Sure.
And what would be the appropriate location to look for to determine high tide? Would it be the closest location to where the incident occurred?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the map of the area?
Well, the judge isn't watching the defendant. She's playing Candy Crush, as I think True Crime Wifey said.
I am familiar with the map of the area, but I'm not familiar with the locations of the tide stations on the
Okay.
area.
If I show you the map.
Yep.
Exhibit 2.
Okay.
Do you see that? Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
I got you.
You see Totten Key is just east of the channel?
Yep.
You see that East Arseniker is just west of the channel?
Yes.
And if those are the two closest tide stations to the event, would those be the best places to look to see what time was high tide
You know, you're a damn good defense attorney when you're cross-examining someone and they're helping you hold the visual aid.
on that day?
Yes.
Okay. So East Arseniker and Totten Key.
Okay.
So let's go back to the channel marker.
Yeah, curve.
Let me show you what I'm marking as defense exhibit A12 for identification.
Yes.
Does that look familiar to you?
Yes.
Okay. Is this a photograph that
Mm-hmm.
is included in one of your reports?
Yes.
Offer
Welcome, Citizen
12.
Kane.
by the defense.
No objection, Your Honor, to the application.
A12, marked for ID, Defense Exhibit D.
Judge, we're going to try to publish it on the big screen. And while Mr. Arlino is trying to set up, do you see that? I think I'm going to need you to join me here.
Sure.
So real quick, Tennis Girl says, I just wish law enforcement had definitive proof that he was intoxicated. Apparently one officer on the scene said he didn't see signs of it, but he probably was covering. Right. So then this case got further charges when a fire department person or EMT came forward and said that they did think it was involved. But look, I just found this document. I guess it's kind of like the police report, but highlighted is just talking about they interviewed him. He stated he passed a large boat on the left side of my boat, veered to the right to avoid big waves. Coming back into wave, I lost control of steering wheel as boat was going through the big waves. But the GPS data does not show that. He explained to me that he has been through that channel many times throughout his life and considers himself an avid boater. He said, I believe we were traveling at 40 to 45 RPMs. During the interview with Pino, I did not observe any signs of impairment, nor did multiple other officers on scene. I requested consent to search the vessel's GPSs, hatches, engines, and personal belongings and receive written consent from George Pino. I requested a voluntary blood draw, and George Pino declined due to not having an attorney present.
I'm going over here so that they're not distracting you too much. So on the channel marker, the steel pipe, you see what appear to be barnacles.
Well, do we know for sure they were seated? And let's say they were seated. You know what jiggles when you're seated on a boat and you're a little young girl in a bikini? Your very perky breasts. That will not always be that way when you have children.
Yes. Okay. Barnacles grow underwater. Yes. High tide would typically cover the barnacles. Yes. And it would cover it. How much above the barnacle line would high tide be? A few inches, a foot. Okay. So what I'd like to try to do is measure what's the distance from high tide to the bottom of marker 15. So we're going to do that right here. We're publishing it. Judge, this is being published through the insertion of the thumb drive we are marking as 813 for demonstrative. Okay. So I have a tape measure here. Do you see that the green marker measures on the tape measure about 4 inches on this display? Yes. You see that it's 12 inches to the water line? Yes. Okay. Would that tell you that from the water line to the bottom of green date board 15 is, on this tape measure, 8 inches? Yes. Does that tell you that it's 6 feet from the water line to the bottom of the green date board marker? Sounds about right. And that would make it 9 feet to the top of the date board marker.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. How is this guy doing this with a tape measure? I mean, this isn't to scale. I'm a little confused.
Minus whatever the difference is in the tide change if it was high tide. Yes. When the elision occurred. So that day marker, the boat could strike that day marker, right? How high is the boat, the freeboard we just talked to the jury about, when it hits this marker on the starboard side and then strikes the green marker?
I don't have the measurement from the tip of the bow to the water line.
Okay.
I agree. This guy is smooth. He's nodding. This is the expert witness for the state. And the way his body language is, you're like, he's like, oh, yeah, yeah.
Now, that's right. Okay. Now, you had talked earlier with the jury about how the boat hit hit the starboard side, the right side of the boat, and we know that the gunnel is above the water line. Yes. Right. And when it hits this fixed object, since it hit it on the side, it's going to sort of flex up. You said correct. Must be a few feet, and it hits the green marker. Yes. Took the marker off, but the piling survived. It did. Okay. Now, I'd like you to take a look at A11 for the defense for identification.
Hmm.
Okay. You recognize that?
Yes.
You recognize Lieutenant Thompson's vessel?
Yes.
Okay. Offer A11 in evidence.
No objection, Judge.
A11 marked for AB, Defense Exhibit E in evidence.
And I'd like to. Oh, thank you. That's good. Now, once again, we know that the day marker itself is 3 feet in height, right?
So I love to say boobies and doo-doo. Y'all have to know I work in healthcare, but it's just like a joke. They're like, go ahead and say it, Leslie. And I always go, well, was it doo-doo? You would just have to understand my job.
By coincidence, yeah, we do it just a little bit, guys, so we can make exactly 2 inches so that it's easier to do the math. Pretty close.
I'm very confused with the tape measure on the screen.
A little bit bigger, move the image to the right. That's good. We're good. Not too good, but that's fine. A little bit bigger, maybe?
Yeah,
2, 3, that's good.
that's right, True Crime Wifey. Law enforcement should have gotten the warrant. That's what you do. You get the warrant and you take the blood draw.
Good. So you see that the marker is 3 inches on this scale, right?
Yes.
And that's 3 inches. And how many inches from the top of the tape measure to the water line?
I know his wife and daughter were there, but I'm just telling y'all, I'm telling y'all this as a mom who has a 24-year-old now, but it wasn't long ago where we were doing the proms and the homecomings and the things these girls wear these days. I mean, when they sit down, I can tell you their girl parts are sitting on a seat. Okay. There's no way that the dress is covering it. And I have heard these dads, their daughter is there taking pictures with friends and the comments that they make about these girls. And you can't tell me he was on that boat with what, 10, 11 girls in string bikinis? Yeah, he's not looking at his daughter. But I'm sure he's thinking, yeah, look at all that. I mean, he's a man.
Line roughly,
From top of the, from here?
just
Exactly.
14. Okay. So if we know that each day marker is 3 inches or 3 feet, from the water line to the top is how much?
You subtract 3 from 14, have 11, so that would be 11 feet.
Okay. So the bottom of the day marker, 13A is at 11 feet.
Look, just because a man's wife is somewhere does not mean the man does not make a pass at you. I've had married men with their wife near say things to me, and I'm not going to say it tonight, but I'll say it sometime.
The bottom of the day marker of 15 is 6 feet.
Yes.
That's a 5-foot difference between the height of the day marker. 13A is 5 feet taller than 15.
Yes.
Now,
Mhm. Esther says, if tide was a factor, there would be more accidents. This is just fluff trying to confuse. I'm not buying it. Exactly, but that's all they need to do. Reasonable doubt.
I'd like to ask you some questions about the trajectory of the, oh, I meant to ask you. When Thompson did his recreation, did you all
That's right.
track on a GPS the path he actually took?
Yes.
Did you compare it to the Roballo's path?
No.
I'm confused now on the tide. I think it was high tide, but I don't remember.
So what we've seen is, well, then how is it that we know what part of the voyage actually tracks the Roballo's voyage? Let me say it again. What portion of Thompson's voyage tracks the Roballo's voyage?
The final leg from the second to last marker to the final marker.
13A to 15?
Yes.
Second to last, the green marker,
The-
13A?
well, technically, the second to last marker buoy, the marker that I deployed.
The
that
floor.
one-
I'm
that
going to
one's
forward a
accurate.
little bit to this
And,
part that I
we were
thought you
reasonably
made a
close.
good point.
Starting with A7,
So this is a view of the markers, the channel markers. So this is 13 on the left, and then 14, and then 15 is barely visible back there behind 14. And that's the one they hit. So they're trying to show something here. I mean, it's smart.
oh, sorry. Q? Or G? That's a G. Starting with G, at this point in the channel, one can see in this photograph that there are three green markers on the left side, right? 15 is the furthest one away. That's the shorter marker, right?
Really?
Maybe we can do it on the screen here. There we go. Okay. Visually, what is seen, that's it, cool. Just so we're clear, going from left to right, 15, 13, 13A.
Yes.
On the screen here.
Yes.
But we know 15 is the one in the furthest distance. Then 13A is behind 13, going south. So southbound 13, 13A, 15. But on this image, 15 is furthest to the left, 13 is in the middle, 13A is on the right. Now let's go to Defense Exhibit H.
Tanced, then you're a very nice man. You said, I'm very careful where I look. That's what my husband says too. He's like, but I mean, I have heard some crude comments from dads. How about a man ahead of the Baptist something when I was graduating high school at my baccalaureate? And I had a little rocking body. And his daughter, who was one of my friends, came up to me and she's like, my dad thinks your body is amazing. It's disgusting.
Need the number? 62. 62. Remember, 13 is in the middle of the picture we just saw.
Wow. Tater says, when Winona was married to Roach, I worked an event at her house and she was in the next room and Roach was hitting on me. I said, go back to your $1 million wife, you dumbass. Good for you.
At this vantage point, 13 is no longer in the middle. Now 13 is all the way on the left, 15 is in the middle, 13A is on the right. Okay? And then if we go back to the original one we started with, I, 15. You see that marker 15 is moving, not really moving, but in the image, it's further to the right. In the second photo, and then it becomes more obscure in the third photo. And it's actually going to end up, if we keep doing photographs, that marker would then move, 15 would move further to the right in the photo.
You're just changing the perspective.
Right. Which is what happens when you're driving down the channel, depending on the moment in time you look ahead, the operator might just see two green markers, not three. And when, I'm done with that for now. When an operator is traversing through a channel, is it typical or prudent for the operator to count the number of markers left to go in the channel?
No.
It's not an issue for you? That's not something you do? You don't count the markers? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You had indicated, because we listened to the sound of Thompson's exercise of the recreation, the noise of the hull, the body of the boat traversing on the water makes noise.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the motors make noise.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I'm going to forward shortly to the argument at the end because that's what we need to all be watching.
were you bringing that to our attention?
Yeah, there's 6 jurors on this case, but there's a bunch of alternates, so we don't really know what it's going to be. But I believe there's a lot of women. But I watched the shoes today, and I saw a man in white pants.
That can be a distraction?
Noise?
That's what I was wondering why that came up.
It came up because I was asked the question, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when prosecutor asked you, when Thompson recreated or attempted to recreate the path of the Robalo, his boat had
Right, I'm just
no
gonna
passengers on.
The image is not super zoomed in. Does the chart plotter show
We're going to go to the feet. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go.
of the chart plotter device?
Because I want y'all to see the attorneys arguing it today. Sorry, but here at Leslie B, I was true crime in a minute. That's what we do because I have a job and I can't stay up all night.
Without zooming it in?
Yes.
And have you seen that type of an image from this very SIMRAD device?
I think I showed one. They were side by side with one of the images. Yes.
When the image is not super zoomed in, does the chart plotter show the path of the Robalo straight into channel marker 15?
It does.
No other questions?
All right. And consider your subject to court. All right. Study your subpoena.
I have a quick question.
I mean, what is that expert? He's an expert witness and he's saying to the judge, I have a quick question. I'm not believing he's that expert. She's like, not with the jury present.
We're going to take a little coffee break now with the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your name tags inside the office. You can have your seats if you would. We're going to take about 15 minutes for a coffee break. Please do not discuss the case. And we're going to take you.
All right, we got a pair of black Skechers. I think that's the bailiff. Okay, we got white pants and loafers. I'm keeping track here. That's Don Johnson from Miami Vice. Sorry. All right. Don, men, women. All right. Oh, we got a woman in bedazzled thong sandals. Is that a woman with a Coach cinch sack? I think she's got coral on clouds on. I don't know what that was. It was like an animal print. It's a woman. Okay, we got another woman. Little black slender pant with a black flat. Oh, is that a woman in those Adidas? What are those called? Sambas or something? I think that's a woman. She's got a purse, I think. Oh, that's a man. That looks like a businessman. He's got a black cap toe. Like a Allen Edmonds or something shoe. Oh, we got a driving moccasin. We're up to 5 women, 3 men. Okay, we got another black shoe. So 5 women, 4 men. Oh, we have another Don Johnson. We're 5 to 5. All right, y'all. 5 to 5. I mean, what other channel are you doing that? Okay. And here we have the camp sign that's nailed up with just straight up nails. Her husband probably made this for her. All right.
Opinion as a
Oh, we need to watch this medical examiner. This is heartbreaking.
One. Do you solemnly swear from the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. You may have a seat, officer.
Yeah. Only 6 will be chosen, and there's 10.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please tell us your name?
My full name is Dr. David Fintan Garavan, G for golf, A-R-A, V for Victor, A-N.
Yeah.
What is it that you do for a living?
I'm a forensic pathologist and toxicologist.
Can you explain to the members of the jury what it is that you do as a forensic pathologist and toxicologist?
Forensic pathology is a subspecialty of medicine. There are 2 types of pathologists. There's a hospital pathologist, also called a surgical pathologist. You'll know them by, if you go to your doctor and you have a lump, bump, rash, something that your doctor doesn't like, they take a biopsy or take something without, perhaps a breast lump, for example. That will go to a pathologist where you will be examined and they will make a diagnosis, which will then determine your treatment. Forensic pathologists have done all that, and then we go on to a further stage. The further stage is where we deal with the whole body, and we are concerned with the cause and the manner of death. So we take into account natural diseases, injuries, drugs.
Audrey, that is so exciting. Congratulations. She's got called for jury duty on July 6th.
Circumstance, which can cause the death of a human being in its, looking at the whole body. We take into account the scene, the location, circumstances, how it happened. And we form an opinion as to the cause of death, and we form an opinion as a medical examiner. The state of Florida is a medical examiner state. There are no coroners in Florida. We also provide a manner of death, of which there are 5 choices: natural death, accidental death, suicide, homicide, or undetermined.
You mentioned something about also a specialty of forensic toxicology.
Yes, I also have a PhD in toxicology, and I work as a forensic toxicologist in addition to.
I really like this guy. We're not going to listen to the whole thing. We'll do a little bit, and then we're going to see the argument for a directed verdict.
Forensic pathology.
I'm going to guess that perhaps you did not grow up here in Miami, Florida.
I did not.
Could you explain to the members of the jury, where did you grow up and where did you get your education?
My home country.
Race and radio, the way people dress is unbelievable. No kidding. So I know y'all are sick of hearing it, but I love telling it that I got to serve on my first jury. It was federal jury duty back in March. And it was my first time ever being called for jury duty. I got chosen and I was the 4-person. Thank you. Although it ended in a mistrial. However, the way people dress, people don't care. And every day I dress like I had my scarves on, I had my lipstick. I mean, I was there. I had my notebook. I was set to go. But some of these people were in jeans and like with holes in the knees. I'm like, come on. I think a nice business casual. I don't think an open toe is good. I'm sorry.
Ireland. I did all my medical training in Ireland. I did my PhD and my science training in Ireland. I came to the United States in 2006 for 1 year. 1 year. I'm still there. I did my fellowship in forensic pathology here in Miami. Gave under Bruce Heimer, who unfortunately passed away, but I trained under him. And I stayed here for a couple of years thereafter. Subsequently, I have worked in many countries. I've worked in England, Liverpool, England. I worked in New Zealand, Samoa, Tonga, Cook Islands.
Wait, speak up a little bit.
England, Samoa, New Zealand, Cook Islands.
Yeah.
Australia, and
Okay, so race and radio, same with air travel. Yeah, I've seen all kinds of things. But years ago, my mom and I think we went to Charleston or something for the weekend. And she's like, I always wear tennis shoes. Ever since I saw Oprah, you don't wear synthetic clothing because if there's a fire, right, like polyester, all that stuff's going to burn. So you want to have fast, it can melt on your skin. So you want to wear cotton and you always want to be ready to evacuate. So now whenever we fly, and my husband too, we always wear socks and tennis shoes. I mean, I am ready for that inflatable raft to jump down. I am ready for it. But I don't understand wearing sandals and stuff on a plane. It's just, ugh.
came back to the United States at the request of Dr. Heimer in 2015.
Yeah, back in the day, we wore brand new underwear to fly and we got dressed up. I mean, it was like going to church. I remember like my first flight, I think we flew to Ohio, exciting, on American Airlines. It must have been probably like 81 or something. We were decked out. I think I got a new outfit for the occasion. And then my brother on the plane says, hey, I just want you to know if the plane crashes, you're going to hell because you haven't been baptized yet. So yeah, that's growing up in the South.
Are you a member of any professional organizations for forensic pathology?
Yes, I'm a fellow of the Royal College of Pathologists of London, which I took my.
Do you need some water, sir?
Actually, that'd be great, please. I just drank a very strong coffee. Compliments of the office clerk.
Aw.
Or the officer, I should say.
Little Miss Red Velvet. What you wear in these circumstances says a lot about you. Yeah. So the night before jury duty, like I had to report, I was trying on outfits. I'm like, I'm going to go with the bold lipstick. I'm going with the scarf. And that prosecutor was on me. And I just looked at her like, I got you, boo. I got you.
Yes, so I'm a fellow of the Royal College of Pathologists, which is in London. I took my examinations there. I'm also a fellow of the National Association of Medical Examiners, which is the equivalent in the United States. I'm a dual fellow. I think that's a pretty unique. I don't think I'm not aware of any other person that has dual fellowships. I'm also that's quite a few. So I'm a member of the International Association of Toxicologists, the Forensic Society of Toxicology, the Association of American Forensic Sciences, I think are the main pertinent ones to this court.
Now, what does it benefit you to be a member of these different organizations?
All right, I'm going to go forward. I don't need to hear.
Well,
Or work
yes, that happens.
will be only it.
No, you're pronouncing correctly. She did have a condition called anasarca.
Could you explain what that is?
Anasarca is a condition where the body swells, fluid seeping into all tissue.
Thanks, Shelley. This was heartbreaking. He describes basically how she arrived and then her death and her parents. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
It is a terminal condition which may arise for a multiple of reasons, but its presence tells you that the organs have failed and this person has been in terminal decline for hours before their death. It can be days or weeks depending on the case. But ultimately, when the body is swelling like that, it means that the organs have failed.
Doctor, do you have an opinion as to the cause of the death of Luciana Fernandez?
Having reviewed all of the evidence that was provided, the photograph, the autopsy protocol, the circumstance of the case, which is clearly very important to us, the cause of death in this case was determined to be drowning. I would agree with that. I would have used slightly different language, complications of drowning, but that's a style, not a difference of opinion.
So I know people are like, give jurors credit. They're very smart. Tance asked, why did the case that I was on mistrial? So it's federal case. It was a huge fentanyl deal here in Nashville. I mean, it was an undercover operation. We had wiretaps. We had translators. We had hidden camera footage. We had a co-defendant that flipped, came in the courtroom in shackles. Y'all, I was like sitting on the edge of my seat, almost going like, Hercules, Hercules. I mean, it was like my wildest dream had come true. And then we got into deliberations and all hell broke loose. People, I hate to say it, they did not care. I mean, they were pulled from all these different counties, right? But they just, because there was not a direct video of it, they wanted it like, they wanted to see it all on video. I said, y'all realize like that is not how it works. And originally we were 6-6 split. And I was like, crap. And then they just started turning them. We had a lot of young people and everybody was like, I want to go home. I'm over this. And it got down 10-2. And because I watched so much, so I had sent a note to the judge. I said, we're at an impasse, even though I spelled the word wrong. So we came in there and I told everybody, I was like, we're going to get an Allen charge. And one of the girls was so misinformed. She's like, you're screwing us over because if we don't reach a verdict, then the judge is going to issue the verdict. I was like, wrong. But very few federal cases end in a hung jury, but that is what happened. But I think it was the right thing because there were some jurors that had lied basically when they asked, like, has anybody ever had a loved one accused of a crime or involved in drug deals? We get back there and two jurors were like, one lady was like, yeah, my ex-husband used to deal coke. I'm like, what? So it was very disheartening and I cried for days. I mean, I really did. I did a video. You can watch it.
Why would you say complications of drowning as opposed to drowning?
I use that term if the person, if you retrieve the heart function, depending on the circumstance, if the heart function is restored, technically they're still alive. However, the consequences of the damage done for whatever is the initial insult cannot be overcome, and therefore it ultimately causes the death. So I call it a complication of it. It could be blunt force trauma, it could be gunshot wounds, but in this case, it's drowning.
Would you please describe the evidence of medical intervention that was done to try to keep Ms. Fernandez alive?
Objection, Your Honor, 401, 403.
Well, there were many things done. So once she was recovered from the
Mhm.
water, attempts at CPR were initiated. They were quite aggressive, as you would expect it to be. It was quite sustained. It went on for
Yeah, Melissa says, sat on 3 juries, can't believe bias and apathy people bring to the jury room. It's wild. It is. And some people who have had a bad experience with law enforcement, they're like, this is my chance to get even. It is very, very, very concerning. And the speculation was wild. They were like, oh, they're just targeting him because he's an illegal. I'm like, that wasn't in the trial. They're like, well, it's true. And then a lady, she's black, she looks at me and she goes, I mean, race, people get targeted because of their race. She's like, but when I call people, I sound white. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? But if I had said that, there was all kinds of stuff going on. It was really, really, really bad. And then there was one girl, she was like, listen, I went to Vanderbilt. And what we all need to do is go around and explain why we feel the way we feel. It was awful. And I'll probably never get to serve on a jury again, because if I ever get called and they ask who served jury duty, and then they ask, were you the foreperson? And then they'll say, did you reach a verdict? And I'll say no, they're going to scratch me. So that was that.
quite a period of time, from time of retrieval to transfer to
Yeah,
hospital.
it was awful.
On arrival to hospital, these attempts continued at resuscitation, which included attempts to restart the heart, which were successful. They would have done many other things, taken blood samples, added fluids, and so on. Got an airway, which is putting in a tube to start allowing for oxygen to be put back into the lungs. So all of these are done as part of resuscitation.
After Ms. Fernandez died and her body was
No, I did not move him towards my side. All these young people were just like, yeah, you're right. It was me and a guy that was in his late 20s. And he's like, I'm with Leslie. And I just, even if he had folded, I wasn't. I was no way. This guy was so guilty, y'all. But anyhow, he's back on the streets probably, dealing fentanyl.
transported to the office of the medical examiner. Will there be a photograph known as the receiving photograph?
Yes.
Can you explain what that is, please?
For the
All right, I'm
right.
going to go forward to the good part.
41403.
Look at her parents, y'all. They're devastated. God bless these people. I watched that Lucy Fernandez video again, that foundation. That really tore me up.
I'm sorry.
Why did she die?
All right. I want to. There go the shoes. Allison, let's be thinking about her, y'all. My father's alibi. Her dad has been arrested for the murder of her mom. Was it in 82? Allison, I apologize. But he's in jail asking for bond again.
Be helpful if we do move for judgment acquittal.
Why don't you take 10 minutes?
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Can we use the jury room? Did we use the jury room, Judge?
Sure.
All right, so the defense is going to the jury room to discuss their motion to dismiss or whatever. There's olive soup, double breast man. I know. I was crying too, forensic. Yeah, Sir Tedrick, if I was on that jury, I would have told Miss Vanderbilt that it's not feeling, it's facts. If you live by your emotions, you can stamp disaster on your life. She was like, I went to Vanderbilt. I thought, I don't freaking care where you went. It was irrelevant. Oh, Daniel, interesting. Okay, so this was interesting. So the defense attorneys just went to the jury room to, I guess, strategize, probably leave notes planted in there. And there's Lucy's parents. But I've never seen this before. And then the prosecutor, Laura Adams, she comes over and talks to them. I guess I've seen Georgia Kappelman talk to the Markells after a verdict. Yes, race radio. Great thing that Lucy's parents are doing with the foundation. Those poor people, I cannot imagine. I agree. Oh, yeah, the brother's so heartbroken to see him. See, here's Laura talking with them. Now, of course, they're both attorneys. Of course, Allison. Allison, when you're ready, or if you're allowed to talk things, would love to, but only if you're comfortable. Oh, Katie's parents were in court. Kati, I should say. The judge, she's on the next level of Candy Crush up there. Oh, the high heels are gone, y'all. They've cleaned up the mess over here. I think somebody had weekend duty over here on the left. I'm trying to.
Trying to decide which to begin.
All right, here we go. Yeah, Lucy's mom is drop dead gorgeous. Oh, that's Kati's mom next to Lucy's dad. I agree, Daniel. Prosecutor's been a fantastic case. I think that he's a little overcharged, maybe.
All right, let's go back on the record. Defense.
Judge, at this time, consistent with our pretrial motion, we move for judgment of acquittal on both counts. I'm trying to decide which to begin with. We know that the culpable negligence standard, even though it might sound like negligence, is actually by law considered the more difficult offense to prove for the state. And you'll see there's an anomaly that culpable negligence is also considered a lesser included offense of recklessness. So we're gonna have a lot of complications if we get to the jury instruction phase. But for the moment, if we start with the vessel homicide, which uses the word reckless, the state has to prove more than that there was a crash, because that's res ipsa loquitur maybe for ordinary negligence. But the fact of the elision doesn't prove that this was a crime. And the fact that the object wasn't moving, in this case, a marker likewise doesn't prove it's a crime. And in the 14 or so cases that we had cited pre-trial, and we have more, and overnight, we dig every day. You encourage us, and we've gone outside of Florida. We're going to submit to you additional points of authority. In cases where a woman walking across the street with a baby stroller gets run over, of course, it would be easy enough for the state to say that constitutes recklessness. And yet, on all of those cases that we cited to you, the Court of Appeals said it wasn't enough. And those were cases that the trial judge let it go to the jury convicted, appeal, reversed in 14 cases. So let's look at what are the facts that the state has proven here. We know the elephant in the courtroom is the state's effort to try to suggest that George Pino was impaired, but there's just no evidence of it. The evidence that they have 2 beers over the course of several hours, in 2.5 hours, or close to 3, and no evidence that the consumption of that quantity of beer.
I don't think that's George's daughter at the defense table. I mean, that would be such a conflict.
Beer led to any kind of impairment. Every witness who has testified on that question has negated the suggestion of impairment. And we don't need to call out the witnesses, Judge, because they were all in unison on that. But I'm sure I'm going to hear about that from the state. They're going to say, well, maybe it was more than 2 beers. There's no evidence of it. And what we have is no evidence of impairment. So if we can remove impairment, remove the effort to turn this into a BUI case when it's not, what we're left with is the elision itself. The speed is not itself proof of anything. This is not a speeding case because there's no speed limit in the channel. Not then, not now. And the conditions were excellent for boating. I think you heard testimony from law enforcement officers who confirmed that. At least
Let
one.
me ask you a question, sorry.
Please.
Speed, you said there's no speed limit. Okay, so is there a point where speed is reasonable or not reasonable under the totality be other circumstances of probation?
Not hear her.
There could be in certain cases, although we know from Lizardo where the guy was driving 80 some odd miles an hour towards the Miccosukee Trail and was in fact violating the speed limit. The court said that wasn't enough. Here we have,
Well, what else was there?
it was speed and he crashed right into the other car.
Besides speed of the crash, were there any other evidence of any other conduct?
I don't believe in Lizardo. I think that was the gravamen of, and still the judge let it go to the jury.
I understand that.
Well, let me say, Lizardo was the conditional plea. The court rejected the motion to dismiss.
I understand.
Right. And so Lizardo makes clear that even way over speed limit is not enough.
Speed
And,
alone,
right. And here we don't even have a violation of a speed limit.
but there is none.
Exactly.
That's my question. What?
This judge keeps reiterating. She's like, there is no speed limit. Yeah, there's not a speed limit. Do y'all think she's going to dismiss this tomorrow?
Would there ever be speed on the water that could be considered unusable?
There could be. If, for example, the vessel that was being used can't handle the speed, for example. That's one example. This boat, the Robalo, there's no doubt that this boat is built to handle that level of speed. So in that case, there's no suggestion that speed in and of itself put anybody's life in jeopardy. If the elision had not occurred, speed would have put nobody at risk. The speed itself did not create, there was no other boat in the channel. There's no risk of elision. There's no risk of collision. There's an elision. And so the speed itself did not jeopardize the lives of anybody on that boat. Now, we have the evidence of the law enforcement officers who themselves were operating at that speed. I think one officer said he was traveling between 40 and 45 miles an hour with passengers, the less injured passengers on the bow, seated on the floor of the boat, and thought it was perfectly safe. So you have that evidence to consider in terms of whether George Pino drove in a way that's any more dangerous than the way law enforcement says was not dangerous. The suggestion that having 7 passengers on the front seating, the way the boat is designed, again, no evidence that put them at risk under the conditions that we have. So by way of example, you didn't hear anything about choppy seas, precipitation, conditions were ideal. So this boat was built for this speed with this number of passengers. So we take alcohol impairment, not proven, speed, not excessive, not unreasonable for the conditions that happened here. Whether there had been 7 passengers in the bow or just 1 passenger in the bow, the elision it's the elision that caused the injuries and the death. It wasn't the number of passengers or the speed. Had the speed been 30 miles an hour and you go into a fixed object, someone could be seriously hurt if not killed. So the speed isn't the issue. The issue, I think, what the state's best case is that the operator, George Pino, didn't see the marker. Because I think everybody agrees, had he seen it, he would not have never intended to hit it, and he would have avoided it if he had seen it. And so the question is,
I don't have any evidence in front of me that, no evidence that Mr. Pino, I don't believe, because I think the state's charges would have been different. Mr. Pino, viewing and seeing the marker, drove that boat into the marker.
that was their point in opening statement, that it would have been a murder charge, right? That's their point. So we assume that their theory is he did not see it, because if he had, they'd be charging a much different crime. And so if you assume that he just didn't see it, for whatever reason he was distracted, that doesn't prove culpable negligence, doesn't prove recklessness. That's negligence at best. You didn't see the stop sign. You ran the stop sign. Your defense, why did you run the stop sign? Because I didn't see it, Your Honor, and I ran the stop sign. 99 times out of 100, nobody gets killed when there's a stop sign run. But on the one time that someone is running the stop sign, that's plain view, the driver says he didn't see it, does not result in homicide charges. I didn't see the light. I missed it. Yes, I've been through that intersection 100 times. The light turned red. I was distracted. I went through the intersection. Someone gets killed. That is not culpable negligence. That's not recklessness. It has to be a course of conduct, so wanton, so willful, so consciously indifferent to the outcome. There has to be some depravity in the mind of the operator, not just a lapse in missing the stop sign or not yielding in going into an intersection, entering I-95 and not yielding to a car that's coming and an accident happens. Because of course, once contact is made with another object, someone's going to get hurt, but that doesn't turn it into a crime. And whatever your view is about recklessness, Judge, as to culpable negligence, if McCreary, the state of Florida Supreme Court, means something, we're not quite sure what it means, it has to be even, I guess, more depravity of heart in the way that the operator was operating the vessel. So we're struggling to understand what the difference between those two standards are. So as far as manslaughter goes, the more, call it serious charge, I don't know how the state's going to distinguish between recklessness and culpable negligence, but whatever those tests are, the state's easier argument's it's got to be recklessness. And yet we still don't have anything that the state has offered to explain other than the elision itself. They're defining recklessness as the fact that the elision occurred, but that proves too much.
I think it's vessel homicide. The manslaughter, I don't know.
That's just res ipsa loquitur. That's just ordinary negligence. Thank you, Judge.
By the way, if y'all hear snoring, it's my dog, Katie.
All right, state, prima facie evidence, your standard, your burden.
The standard, Your Honor, is that no rational trier of fact could find that the state of Florida met the elements of these two offenses beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. Moreover, at this stage in the trial, the court has to give every inference in favor to the state. The state submits, we have submitted competent and substantial evidence that a rational trier of fact could in fact use to find the state has met the elements. Number one, as to vessel homicide, that George Pino operated his vessel in a reckless manner likely to cause the death of or great bodily harm to another person. And two, that his reckless operation of the vessel caused or contributed to the cause of death of Lucy Fernandez. I don't need to instruct the court, obviously, on what the definition of recklessness is. But
Willful, wanton disregard.
Yes.
Right, for the safety of persons.
intentional, knowing, or purposeful is willful.
Okay.
So to the extent that Your Honor now has not just the evidence from the state's traverse for the sworn motion to dismiss that was filed pre-trial, but now the court has heard actual evidence to show that this defendant changed course of direction that placed him on a complete collision course with channel marker 15. That is an intentional, knowing, and purposeful act. Not that he is intentionally and purposefully.
I agree. It's involuntary manslaughter. I can't find just like his indictment where it says all that. I've been Googling it. I just keep hearing manslaughter. I haven't heard if it's involuntary manslaughter, but I mean, if that's how they outline it. I've just never seen a judge have them debate it like this. Have y'all?
Going to try to run into the channel marker, but that he's the one at the helm dictating what the speed of that vessel will be and what the heading of that vessel will be. To the extent that wanton means conscious and intentional difference to consequences, and with the knowledge that damage is likely to be done to persons or property, we have that as well, Your Honor. The evidence is clear and unrebutted that this defendant, by his own words, by the words from his GPS device, and from the words of other witnesses, this man knows that body of water very well. He's been through that channel a multiple number of times. On top of that, Judge, he's gone past specifically channel marker 15 numerous times. So if you know where that channel marker is, and you nevertheless decide to pursue a course in your vessel that puts you on a collision course with it, and which I know Your Honor was not in a position to see all the video footage, which of course is available to the court. But when Mr. Albert was on the stand, I would stop, pause those videos to show that way before even where that final track mark is, channel marker 15 is clearly visible. The sun wasn't in the defendant's eyes as he's heading toward the east, and the sun would be setting in the west. There's no evidence that there's anything to obstruct his view. What there is evidence of is that this defendant either was driving blindfolded, looking somewhere else other than where he was supposed to go, because he had 9 seconds plus to say, oh
I love that when she said either this defendant was driving blindfolded.
my goodness, I need to change course.
So is that the level of wantonness and willfulness that defines the actions as reckless
Yes, because
versus ordinary negligence?
this is way more, Judge. This isn't, oops, I ran a stop sign. This is, I see a stop sign in the road in front of me and I'm going to run right into it. This isn't a momentary lapse of reason. This is a course of conduct that anyone, especially someone with his level of boating experience, would know. If you run into in a stationary steel pole that is in the bay for the purpose of keeping you safe, that has a day glow green marker, and you just run into it when it's right in front of you in broad daylight, how is that possible? Other than, as I said in my opening statement, you're checked out, you're zoned out. I don't know what was going on. The defense has done an admirable job defending the defendant against a charge of boating under the influence manslaughter. But I've never charged him with that offense. I've never said
Race. I don't think there was any criminal charge brought against for for Cotty for her who has the TBI and everything. I mean, she got the big civil settlement, but I am sure when this is over, the Fernandezes are definitely going to sue.
That he was impaired. He's the one that put into issue that he had been drinking alcohol, and that was corroborated by his wife and by two other witnesses, Mr. Fernandez, as well as Carolina Monterey. So the fact that he had alcohol in his system is clearly an issue that goes along with the knowledge of this location.
By the way, when Lucy got to the hospital, they drew blood, and I think it was, True Crime Wifey, you can correct me, I think it was around 8 something. So not too long after the crash, 0 alcohol in her blood.
Do you think that establishes a failure to use ordinary care? In other words, I asked the state, what evidence have you presented to establish that Mr. Pino exhibited a failure to use beyond a failure to use ordinary care?
If the court thinks that the only thing ordinary,
That's
if the court believes that running for 9 seconds right into a channel marker that's clearly and highly visible in broad daylight at this.
What were the efforts to avoid? Was that the last order from the GPS data?
There was no effort to avoid until like a second.
I've just never seen a judge debate the attorneys like this. It's like, all right, go ahead and show me what your closing argument's going to be so I can keep this quick tomorrow.
Before impact, when I guess he finally snaps to it, it's like, oh my goodness. And that's why we have that one last track mark. But at the rate of speed that he was traveling with the weight of all those passengers on that vessel is not agile to the point where it can not hit that channel marker. He put into play a series of events that led to him striking that channel marker. And it's not res ipsa loquitur. The fact that he ran into it in and of itself, of course, is not proof that he was reckless. But we don't have just res ipsa loquitur. We have GPS. We have testimony about his knowledge of that location. We have testimony about the weight added to his vessel.
There have to be certain willful decisions, right?
And how about a willful decision not to course correct when you see that you have a deadly channel marker ahead of you if you don't course correct? Inaction in this situation was the action.
That's could that be, in terms of evidence, the evidence of failure to act, cause the conduct or lack of conduct to rise to the level of somebody done ordinary?
Absolutely. And Judge, I would strongly urge the court, because of unfortunately the makeup and the design of this courtroom, it's impossible for the court to see
No, I can see it.
on the screen. Oh, from the mirror, Your Honor, can see it? Okay, I take that back, sorry. That being said, then, I would think that the court can all the more appreciate that if a person has every reason in the world to see a hazard up ahead and has all the means available to avoid that, and that person doesn't take any action, then that person is choosing a course of conduct that is going to likely result in death or serious bodily injury. And that is wanton. So have I established with competent substantial evidence that the defendant was reckless because he was willful and wanton? Yes, but the crime of vessel homicide requires the state only to prove that he was willful or wanton. I said that the evidence shows both. And as to the charge of manslaughter, the state charged the defendant with manslaughter under 2 theories. Yes, one of those theories is culpable negligence, which, yes, we know from case law is considered a higher burden of proof than even recklessness.
Well, isn't that interesting, because isn't that a lesser for the,
Hey, I was just researching an article. It says after a year-long investigation, the Florida Wildlife Commission, state agency that investigates boat crashes, recommended 3 misdemeanor charges. Had Pino pled guilty to those counts, he would have faced at most up to 60 days in a county jail. But following a series of Miami Herald articles exposing flaws in the investigation, the Miami-Dade State's Attorney's Office re-examined the case. In late 2024, prosecutors charged Pino with vessel homicide, a second-degree felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison. Then, last August, prosecutors charged Pino with another second-degree felony, manslaughter, which also carries a maximum prison sentence of 15 years. That charge came after prosecutors interviewed the girls who were on the boat. some of whom testified about the amount of alcohol flowing on the vessel.
The vessel homicide.
The opposite, vessel homicide.
Vessel homicide being the lesser manslaughter.
It can be, yes, depending on how the charges are pled. In this particular case, the state chose to charge the defendant with each of those offenses separately. And it's my intention to argue to the jurors that yes, this evidence is competent, substantial to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant acted recklessly. However, I am willing and prepared to go the extra step and say, but not only was it reckless, it also rises to the level of, and this is where I get to the point of the way that the state charged the defendant with manslaughter. I charged him with manslaughter by causing the death.
I don't like how she changes. She was saying the state charged him, and now she's like, this is what I did. I charged him.
Luciano Fernandez through his own culpable negligence, but I also charged him with manslaughter by intentionally committing an act or acts that caused the death of Ms. Fernandez. And here, the act or acts was his decision to continue to plow forward as fast as that vessel could go, given the weight that was on that vessel, headlong into a channel marker that he knew was there, with a boat full of 17-year-olds, many of whom had been engaged in consumption of alcohol, so that if, heaven forbid, there's an emergency, their ability to react to it is going to be less, which, in addition, that none of them are wearing life jackets.
You come back to that.
In part because it seemed that the court understood that recklessness is not just the way that you drive your boat, it's all of the factors taken into account.
Right, again, not just the way you drive a boat, but we can talk about all the factors. It's not a type of contributory negligence, because it's the girls were drinking or not drinking. You would say, see, I don't know how the ability of the girls to respond or not respond go to the criminality, if it is, of Mr. Pino.
Because if Mr. Pino is on
It's like the judge is wanting this for her time to get to like voice her opinion. I mean, what if the jury gets online tonight, which I can guarantee you some do, I can guarantee, and they see all this? I think this is bizarre. Tracy asked, what happened with the third girl that was hurt? Long Crime Chat said Lucy's family already made an out-of-court financial settlement. I don't know about the third one. I haven't seen anything about it. I mean, I saw that she was really injured, but maybe it was the same thing.
notice that the passengers on his vessel are going to be less able to react in an emergency, but he nevertheless places them in a position where they are going to be facing an emergency, then his decision to consciously disregard their vulnerability goes to him being A, reckless, and B, culpably negligent.
Not taking steps beforehand to prepare all of the circumstances, given all the circumstances, to prepare for a worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Anticipate.
When you have precious cargo, when you have vulnerable cargo, if a person is driving,
Forensic RNN. So did you see that Cotty? So yes, Mrs. Pino, because she was an adult on the boat as well, she had to pay $16 million to Cotty. But Mr. Pino, it is an undisclosed amount, but it is a trust that will cover her medical expenses for life. I am sure it had a lot of zeros.
with, I don't know, 100 cartons of eggs, they're going to be a little more careful than if they're driving around with 20 cans of, vegetables. You got to be aware of who your passengers are. And he was acutely aware of who they were. First of all, because he's known many of them for years. Second of all, because he and his wife were supplying many of them with alcohol. And third, because we can see the girls are obviously having a good time, and they've already talked about the fact that they were consuming. I'm not charging him with, providing alcohol to minors. But the fact that that did happen does go to the vulnerability of his passengers, and it means that he has a duty to keep them safe. And could he have maybe done that better by driving slower, by maybe operating his vessel on the proper side of the channel? All of those things are things that go to his culpable negligence. And the concept that
So he becomes culpably negligent in your argument. And it's gross and flagrant, because it has to be gross and flagrant, and it can, by, for example, not supplying life vests to all kids, by not driving slower. Is that what you?
what I would say, Your Honor, is this.
I just wish the judge would get up to the mic. She tells all the witnesses that. Dreamscape says, actually, I don't have a problem with what the judge is doing. She's asking questions that would be asked if this case goes forward and goes to appeal. She's asking each lawyer for reasons. It's fair.
If there was no one on that vessel besides the defendant and his wife, and if his wife was in a life jacket, but he was traveling at this rate of speed, following this course that we know down the Cutter Bank Channel and slammed into that channel marker, if God forbid his wife had died, he would be guilty of reckless homicide. He would be guilty of vessel homicide because his decision to operate his vessel in that way, where it was likely that death or great bodily harm would result, was reckless. But what makes this cross that threshold from reckless into culpable negligence is the fact that the boat wasn't just with one other person. And
Has anybody looked up what that pin that he wears on his lapel? I don't know, it's like a bird or something. Is that something for the church? I'm just curious what it is.
the other people on that vessel were not wearing life jackets. The people on that vessel were minors. The people on that vessel, many of them had been consuming alcohol. The defendant himself admits that he had been consuming alcohol. And so that's what makes this, for lack of a better term, reckless plus. And that is why the state charged him, not just with vessel homicide, but also with manslaughter. Also factoring in, forget about the navigational rules for a charge of vessel homicide, but we know what they are. The jury's heard evidence of it. The court obviously can take judicial notice of what the navigational rules are. And then when we compound that recklessness with the fact that he is obviously not keeping lookout, when we compound it with the fact that he's operating at a speed that's not safe, that he did not do anything to avoid A, the risk of a collision, or B, to avoid the collision itself, that's what places this case in the category of reckless plus. And that's why the state submits, Judge, that viewing the light most favorable to the state, this court has to deny the motion for a judgment of acquittal.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like she's saying that he actually did intend to run.
Okay, just real quick. That row below boat, just so y'all know, a new 29-foot row below boat, MSRP $320,000 to $360,000, depending on options. I mean, I agree. I saw it. I was like, what a dumpy boat. It has twin Yamaha 300 horsepower engines, which is what he had, digital steering, and an oversized hardtop. Pre-owned, they can be in the high 100s to 200.
Into the piling. Because now she's saying that he went straight ahead and he took no action as if he intended to do it. But I thought when we started this conversation, we understood that that's not what the state's theory at least was until today. Till today, the theory was he didn't see the piling. If he had, he'd be charged with murder. It sounds to me like she's now saying, well, maybe he did commit murder.
Hey, Allie Baker, does anybody know, is this the judge's first televised trial?
Well, what is she saying? That because he'd been there before, he should have known it was there and he should have taken action to avoid it? Okay.
Yes. So, hey, sua spontaneous. The state rested, and then the defense has made a motion for acquittal, and now they're debating it with the judge.
As if he knows it's there, and he's still driving in a way that is going to put everybody in harm's way with some mens rea. Up till now, I thought their theory was that he just didn't see it. Had he seen it, he obviously would not have kept going to hit it. And when apparently the boat took evasive action within a second or so of striking the piling when
The medical examiner was the state's last witness.
it became clear that there was going to be a collision. So it sounds to me that they're sort of mixing the two concepts. I think that there's no evidence that, as she said, he was
Yeah,
blindfolded.
where's Blue River?
And the case law is just super clear. Let's just go to the cases, and these are the instructions that I understand.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Tance. Symbol of the Holy Spirit. And I went to a Christian school.
You'll be giving the jury from the Esposito case. Neither carelessness nor
Thanks, Little Miss Red Velvet. I'm glad you appreciate my attention to detail, because many people are like, you just see too many details and it's just, you need to overlook some things. No.
ordinary negligence in the operation of a vessel are sufficient to sustain a conviction for vessel homicide. Simple negligence cannot by itself give rise to criminal liability. Quote, the degree of culpability required for a vehicular homicide, vessel homicide, is more than a mere failure to use ordinary care. Speed alone does not constitute reckless conduct unless the speed is shown to be grossly excessive. The presence of central nervous system depressants like alcohol in the bloodstream after the crash in and of itself is insufficient to support a finding of reckless operation of the vessel. So you see these cases continue to make clear it's just not.
So I think the reason that they have that little boat is for like the island hopping. You can't have a big ass yacht because it's too shallow. Remember they had to go to that Elliott Key or whatever because somebody else had a boat that needed deeper water. So you get one of these boats that you can easily island hop,
Enough even to have alcohol in your system is not enough. And here there's no evidence of impairment. The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the act was not the result of momentary lapse of memory,
Jury is not
inattention,
present.
or mistake of judgment. A finding of simple inattentiveness is woefully insufficient to state a prima facie case of reckless driving, open paren, willful and wanton driving behavior. That's State versus Esposito, a direct quote. And so you have a standard here that requires some intentional act, but not simply he intended to drive the vessel. We all understand he was intending to operate the vessel. The question is, was he intending to put his passengers in harm's way and intentionally aiming at the marker, which I thought we understood would constitute a depraved heart and could support murder. His intention was to hit the marker. And then the idea that if there's a carton of eggs on board, that somehow changes the duty of care. I think that's the analogy that the state was using. The fact that some of the passengers may be of a younger age or some are intoxicated. Of course, if he hits the piling, whether you're intoxicated or not, whether you're old or young, that could cause serious injury, bodily harm and death. So again, I think they continue to define the crime by the elision itself. And under their theory, catastrophic injury.
That pen, I feel like, I wonder if he's always worn that. That is nothing more than a prop for these jurors.
Coupled with an elision equals reckless per se. That's what they're telling you. Ask the state to define a scenario where that wouldn't be the case. Elision plus catastrophic injury. That's what they're relying upon to say that when that happens, it's a crime. But that's not what the case law says, Judge. Thank you.
Thanks, Forensic.
I will give you my decision on motions in the morning. See you all in the morning at 9:30.
Okay, she's going to make the decision at 9:30 tomorrow. God, I wish I didn't have to work.
That's, I think, what we have to do.
Thank you.
I mean, look at this lady attorney right here in the white, this pretty girl. She's got some nice clothes. I just can't believe Olive suit guy every day. But that's his daughter right here. Can y'all see that? This girl with the glasses and the like white satin shirt and the black jacket. That's his daughter. That's George Pino's daughter. She sits like in the row right behind him. She's like, Dad. You can call him inmate. Oh, it's so gross. They're like kissing each other on the cheek. Come on. And y'all know Lucy's dad, Andy, and Mrs. Pino had known each other since like elementary school, since like 3rd grade. How awful is that? You want to be Fabian? I agree. He's making some points against reasonable doubt. So everybody type what they think is going to happen. Okay, let's say she lets the defense go. I mean, she probably won't acquit him. Defense is cooking. Yeah, I agree. They're going to put on a good show. The pen is extremely ostentatious. I agree. It will be denied. No worries. This woman better do the right thing. Yeah. I've just never seen it gone on like that. Melissa, that's 6:30. So you're West Coast. So that's 8:30 for me. That's the daughter Aurora they send to Spain. Oh, that's a good point, Mavhawk. Judge will probably split the baby and just dismiss the slaughter. I hadn't thought about that. So she could change the charge to just the other one. Tater, defense attorneys do nothing but gaslight the world. The truth is his client is guilty and he lied about it and needs to go to jail. Hey Tater, what's going on with the guy in Nashville that was arrested? Is he still like on home house arrest? I mean, is it going to trial? Like what's going on? Forensic, this has to be hard for her daughter. They were friends. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is going to change these kids forever. Some of these girls will go on to have addiction issues. They will go on to have eating disorders. Some will go on to make the most of it. And like that one girl said she wanted to go to law school. I don't know if this is why. I agree. The pen is very pompous. The 2 Catholic 10 Commandments. The 8th one deals with lying and perjury. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Yeah. Tennis girl, you said the judge will deny it. Yeah. Yeah, I would hope she doesn't dismiss, but that's a good point. Maybe she wanted them to argue it out so that she can change the charges. I don't know that he was I think he was like maybe on his phone or just distracted. Maybe like you know how you just kind of stare off into space. I mean, I think we've all done that. You're driving home or you're driving your car. I've done it, I'll tell you, and after, like, 10 minutes, I'm like, "Holy crap, I don't even" like, it's just like a muscle memory or whatever, and you're just driving this route, and I think, "My god, Audrey, take your break at 9:30 and come back with us and go back to work." I wish. What do I have going on tomorrow morning? Let me look at my calendar. I do have dinner with some of my girlfriends tomorrow night, which I'm super excited about. Um, let's see. Yeah, I've got, like, a full day. Yeah, Esther was thinking the same thing. Dad, more like inmate. But can y'all imagine, even if he has to go to prison, let's say for a couple years, he will be like king of the world in there. All the commissary, he'll be supplying honey buns and everything, just like Donna probably is down there. I agree, Mavhawk. That made me nervous. Can't believe the judge didn't grant the motion to acquit today. Probably just a courtesy to the state. Forensic, exactly. The stupid pen is nothing but optics. Yeah, just like the COVID masks were. It was so many optics. Did I ever tell y'all I had to work during all that because, I'm in healthcare, and I had to do a Facebook Live, which is a very long story. And the vice president of the company is like, "Get her off now." She's like, "You don't have a mask on." I was alone in a room. They were like, "It's optics." I'm like, "I don't have time for this. This is ridiculous." We all have serious praying to do. Yeah. Renee says, "You think George was hurrying to get back to the club for the birthday party?" Yeah. I didn't watch the party planner's testimony, but I mean, he had planned the whole dinner for the daughter and did not have the wife's help. I mean, that's what she testified to. I think that was bizarre. Don't y'all think that's kind of, I don't know. My dad would be like, "I don't know, just give them chicken fingers." Um, so yeah, they probably left late. I mean, you know what it's like to corral a bunch of teenagers to get on a boat. Racing radio 9:30 Central Time. Well, Miami's Eastern, isn't it? Tater, this is about the guy in Nashville. I've been back to his house twice to cut his hair. Both times were right before he had hearings. His next hearing is next week. Does he have to go to Florida or can he appear on Zoom? Or his attorneys, maritime attorneys? I don't know. They probably are whatever they want to be. Dreamscape. I don't think the judge is going to drop any of the charges. I do think she's going to give a long speech as to her reasons for keeping the charges to protect the case on appeal. Interesting. Yeah, they're paid to defend their client. I mean, y'all look, any of us could need a defense attorney. I mean, it could happen. Oh, wow. The two. Did you hear the 16-year-old stepbrother who red rummed and essayed and all that stuff on the cruise? His stepsister, he's arrested and in jail. So what did he do? Dreamscape, that makes sense. I think he was helping his wife who was complaining she couldn't get a signal to send the dancing video. Yeah, maybe he was like full throttle on the boat to get to a better cell tower. Don't worry, honey. We'll be able to send that. Yeah, I agree. He did lie. The phantom boat lie. I agree, Forensic. He was trying to be the cool dad and checking them out. And I bet these girls have been on this boat a lot, right? And I'm sure they were like, oh my God. Yeah, the Pinos, I mean, y'all, they're loaded. They're gonna load us up with everything. I'm sure. Right. Okay, this is Allison giving us an update on her dad's case. Pat recently filed a motion to dismiss, arguing that too much time has passed for him to be able to defend himself. What does that even have to do with anything? Tough shit, Pat. Esther, I like the point the prosecutor made. They were in a rush at 8:12 p.m. to make it to dinner at 9. Yeah, and all those girls would want to shower. I just don't understand a dinner at 9 p.m. That sounds awful. Hey, ain't no hollaback girl. You know, I told y'all about that eye mask I have with the Bluetooth, like little speakers built in. I fall asleep, but the best thing I found was on YouTube under settings on your app, you can put it on a sleep timer. So I put it usually on 20 minutes and it just turns off. So I don't wake up because I have woken up to Judge Everett talking or Georgia. Yeah, tense. I agree. I think George always runs that boat fast. That's what I want to know. Do they have the GPS data from every boat trip? That's what I want to know. Nice, Leslie. Can't forget those stupid face diapers. I don't even know what that means. I've forgotten. Esther, what do you mean online? Oh, hey, Shelly, you said the party planner said the mom called in and paid that morning. I'm going to rewatch and see who originally planned it. I remember her testifying that she didn't plan it. George did. What was the total invoice on it? I would like to know. Oh, y'all are talking about the Nashville people. Okay, sorry. No, not Pino's hair. A guy in Nashville was arrested for assaulting a woman in Florida. Was it the UT Florida game, football game last fall? He had to go to Florida. There's been quite a bunch of stuff online about it. If you go to St. Augustine Clerk of Court, I read all of it and I have decided it's a he said, she said. The girl he allegedly assaulted, her father is an attorney in New York, has been for 38 years. So they are after him big time. Well, they have a lot of money too. Tanced. I bet they bring in lesser included charges at the end of the trial for Pino. Yeah. Hey, Cheryl, you said I think this judge likes to keep everyone happy. I see her making what she thinks is a compromise. Makes sense. Little Miss Red Velvet. Leslie, that case is awful. Yeah. Great lookout. Well done. I agree. I think there's something with this judge. Ain't no hollaback. The judge apparently had change of heart. I call that public pressure. Y'all, it's a corrupt system. It's sick. They learn young here in Miami, I'm sure. Pino is short. The marker was short, and he had 7 people to look through sitting in the bow of the boat between him and the marker. Yeah, I agree. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna show y'all this eye mask. This is the I'm gonna tell you, I bought 2, and it has been, I think it's $17. Let me see if I can find it. Bluetooth. I think somebody on here told me about it. Oh yeah, this is it. Let me just make sure it doesn't show my stuff on here. Oh, now it's 27. I must have bought it on Amazon Prime. Okay, do y'all see it? This is the best thing I've ever had in my life. Because I will tell y'all, I fell asleep every night with my AirPods in, and I don't find AirPods comfortable. I have to take them out and scratch my ears constantly. It's just, I think I got ear infections. I don't know. I try to clean them, but I'm vulnerable to ear infections. But look at this. So it is sleep headphones, Bluetooth, headband, sleeping eye mask for mom, women, whatever. But I sleep really good in this. And so it's Bluetooth, and you attach it to your little phone, and it's really good keeping the room dark. Yeah, and then it does this it goes power on, power off. But I bought 2. I bought one that's like more silky and one that's more cottony. And you can wash them. I'm telling y'all, it is life changing. So, Music Cozy. I love the names of these companies. Daniel, did anyone check the rented house for hidden cameras? Yeah, that's a good point. You're not wrong. Shelly, it was a holiday weekend. 9 to 11 p.m. was probably the only time frame left, I think. It was probably not planned way in advance, enough to get an earlier dinner. That's a good point. The dinner was only 1,000? I would have thought it would have been more. Oh, you lay down to listen to Courtroom Confidential and woke up now. Aw. Oh, the COVID mask. Yeah. I would have thought it would have been more. Yeah, UT versus Florida. Y'all got to get that mask. Oh yeah, going online for the COVID mask. God, it was so stupid. I was so pissed. And then my son's school, they had a jazz concert. This was later on. And they made them all wear a mask, but cut a hole in the mask to play their saxophones. I'm like, this makes no sense. I mean, you're like blowing it all in air. Yeah. Okay. The Pinot dinner was, I'm going to go bigger. Okay. Was like $28.80 for 2 hours of food at Ocean Reef Restaurant. Surprise party for daughter. So probably why they were running late. The thing is, teen girls, they hardly even, I shouldn't say they don't eat. They don't eat in public. They like cram it all down. I think the girls were dancing. Shelly, you have an eye mask and you love it. Yeah, I'll show y'all. I get some great stuff on Amazon. Oh, what do y'all think of my new glasses? These are a little different. So I usually have the rectangular, I wear peepers, Peepers, but I bought a different lens, and today was my first time wearing them. people always comment, they're like, you have terrible selection in glasses. Okay. These are readers. And to read comments, I have to wear them. Yes, Shelly. You love it. It's dark, cozy, and it has my headphones. Only con is that it may get a tad warm. Yeah. I mean, if I'm like wound up about something and I need to relax, don't think I don't put on a Georgia Kappelman questioning Wendy. I mean, I know my husband's like, Leslie, this is not healthy. Yeah, sleeping mask, right? I know I should shut my Wi-Fi off. I know, and I should shut down, but which one do I like? Renee, I like the more silky one because it's cooler. The cottony one, I washed it. You take out the little speaker things, but I like the silky one. It's cooler. The party planner said 1,000. Yes, y'all will love it. You have to let me know what you think of it. Maybe they should sponsor me. Oh my gosh, forensic. The Adult Women's Hockey League made us wear a mask while playing hockey. I quit because I legit couldn't breathe. Yeah, I was always the girl with it under my nose. I couldn't deal with it. You wear a mask called Nod Pod. I'll check it out. Yes, ain't no hollaback girl. Hitting water at 47 miles an hour is like hitting cement. Trial today explained Lucy's injuries. Horrific. Blunt force to head so hard, her neck compressed. I think she hit that steel thing. Oh, forensic. I don't listen to him. Just like the person that commented, your outfit doesn't match. I'm like, excuse me. I think my hot pink pants and my Hermes scarf match. Race and radio, your glasses are on point. Thank you. I love peepers. They're my favorite. Yeah. Yeah. TVs are bad. Yeah. Yeah, I am Adelson obsessed. I mean, I think I'll be in the nursing home being like, is Wendy arrested yet? I sleep great. Oh, snoring. That's Katie, my Cavalier King Charles. You want to see her? Come here. So, being that we're Adelson addicts, this is Katie. She's my Cavalier King Charles. So we call her the good Katie. Yeah. Isn't she sweet? She's a tricolor and she is 4. They have like a Velcro strap on the back of those. Yep, that's Katie. She sleeps in a crate at night. We call it our condo. Yeah, thank you. Oh, I understand, True Crime. Oh, I'm glad y'all. True Crime Wifey, you dozed off. It's okay. Yeah, I'm a Gen Xer, man. Daniel, I know that was kind of my way too. I love it when people would get like all in my face in Publix. Be like, nope. Oh, thank you. She is so precious. And she is a daddy's girl. Oh, you think I'm a beauty queen. That's very sweet. Oh, you thought my husband? No, I'm not streaming from bed. I think that would be the end of it. She is so sweet, y'all. She's a really, really good dog. We used to have another one, and her name was Charlotte, named after Charlotte from Sex and the City, because Charlotte had Cavalier King Charles. They are so sweet. Very needy, though, and very hard to potty train. But we also have a golden doodle. Okay. Well, this has been fun, but I don't think I'll be able to go live tomorrow night because I'm having dinner with girlfriends. I don't know. We'll see how I do. Oh, Miss Poffles, thank you. You signed the petition to have Wendy prosecuted today. Let's go ahead and put that in the chat. Leanne started this. And we are up to how many signatures? Almost 300. So even if you don't care about that case, if you care about me, you'll sign it. Okay, let's see. There it is, forensic. I just put it in chat. But if for some reason that link doesn't work, go to change.org and then you can just type in her name and it comes up and it takes like 20 seconds. Yeah. You're like, Katie, she doesn't have the Holy Spirit pen. No, she doesn't, but she's our sweet girl. No, anybody can sign. I'm pretty sure. Just try it. Jess, justice for all the victims. If you missed it last night, we highlighted Lucy and Kati. You should watch it. Yeah, we're going to keep sharing it here for today. I sent it to Carl, but yeah, that's funny, John. You just wrote that. You missed Carl when he would get wound up. Hey, if you need a Carl fix, go watch STS when Daniel Rashbaum did his opening in Charlie's trial, and Carl laughed so hard. Catherine Green, how can I change my name on here? You go to YouTube and I gotta kind of see it, but you can, let me see. You go to view your channel and then you hit customize channel, but I don't know, just like type in YouTube, how to change my YouTube handle, and you'll see a little video on it. That's what I do. I do it for Excel spreadsheets. I do it for everything. Yeah, it was a tearjerker, but it felt good. Ain't no hollaback girl. Did you watch David Muir? Cannot stand him. Cannot stand him. On ABC in Brazil, the three men who run bungee business shown holding girl overhead from bridge, throwing her, but forgot to attach bungee. No. That's awful. David Muir, when he covered the fires in Malibu, and he turned around at one point and they showed his like fire coat jacket he was wearing. They had cinched it in the back with clothespins, so it was like slim fit. What a freaking douche. Oh, petition signed. Thank you. I don't know. I think Carl got married and he forgot about us. He told me he's not covering the case anymore until Florida decides to do the right thing. So, all right. Thank y'all. And oh, by the way, I'm wearing my courtroom confidential. It says easily distracted by trials. Yeah. Forensic 100%. It's called the power of the P. All right. Daniel, starting to think maybe Wendy had a liaison when someone in law enforcement in Tallahassee. That's why no charges. There's a whole lot more to the story. All right. Good night. I'll see y'all sometime. Bye. Thanks.